Hello, this video is to go to the notes on systems of inequalities, part 2, and I'm recording on my computer so that I have access to this graph here. In the first part of the notes, we're looking at how you identify if something is a solution point for a system of inequalities. Now, in the very first lesson from this unit, we saw one way you can check to see if something is a solution point to a system of inequalities is by using substitution. So, for example, for this first point here, I went ahead, I substituted it into the first inequality, and I got 10 is greater than or equal to 5, which is true. And I substituted it into the second inequality, did all the math, and I got 10 is greater than 2, which is also true. And so because it's true for both inequalities, we can say that the point 110 is a solution point. Now, these notes are introducing a second way. If you have a graph of that system, it makes identifying solution points so much easier. Instead of doing all this math, all we have to do is find this point on the graph. So if I was looking for 110 on our coordinate plane, I would go over to 1 on our x-axis. This isn't where the point is. We have to find both numbers. So I would go over to 1 on our x-axis and then go up 10 to find 10 on the y-axis. And the point 110 is represented by that little orange dot right there. Notice that when we did the math, we saw that this was a solution point. And when I look for the point on the graph, it falls in this shaded area. As you go through more of these, you're going to see that any point that is a solution point is going to fall in the shaded area here. That is why we're shading it, is to show that these are where all the solution points are. Now, the other part of this has to do with which points lie on our lines. So notice this purple point here. When we went to go do the math, we got that it is not a solution point. And when I find it on our graph, that point laid on a dotted line. The difference between dotted and solid lines have to do with if it's a solution point or not. If the point is on a dotted line, dotted means we're not including those points. And if it's on a solid line means we are including those points. So at the bottom of this, it said how to identify solution points from a graph. It is going to be a solution point if when you find that point, it is in the shaded area, like the orange or green dot, or if it lies on a solid line. So a point like this purple point here is no good, but if we had a point that had been on the solid line, like right there, then it would be good. So down here for the practice problems, it asks you which of these points here are solution points for the system of inequalities. In order to answer that question, all you would have to do is no math. All you have to do is find these points on your graph. So for example, -3, -1 would be over to -3 and then down to -1. It would be this point right here. Notice it's in the shaded area, so we could say, yes, this is a solution point. Having this graph makes it so much easier because you don't have to go and do all the math. All you have to do is locate the points to see where they are on the graph. I'm going to upload a second video for part 2.